What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone, but I'm glad it did. I was once a faceless figure in a world that valued profits over people. A black billionaire lost in the sterile quietness of a hospital's presidential suite, trapped in a coma while those closest to me plotted my downfall. It's ironic how silence can be louder than screams. In my stillness, I became acutely aware of the betrayal brewing around me. As the heart monitors beeped their indifferent rhythm, I listened to whispers of greed and deceit. Julia, my wife, a facade of loyalty, stood alongside my half-brother Victor. Their voices dripped with the promise of power. They talked freely, unaware of the vibrant mind behind my closed eyelids, a mind that thrived on the shocking revelation of corporate sabotage against my life's work. Then there was Nurse Maya, a beacon of truth amidst the shadows of manipulative hands. She caught me off guard when she confided her doubts about my treatment, a spark igniting in my immobile body. Together we forged a plan through silent codes and shared glances, a strategy bubbling beneath the surface as I feigned a coma to ensnare my betrayers. Slowly, I reclaimed control, fueled by the conviction to expose the treachery within my own home. I would rise from this bed, not just to reclaim my throne at Reynolds Tech, but to reshape the fragile world they attempted to shatter. In that moment of struggle, I transformed into a force of reckoning, ready to unveil not just their betrayal, but to redefine the very essence of leadership itself. "Malcolm, you're nothing without us," Victor sneered, his voice slicing through the sterile air of the clinic room. Malcolm lay motionless, his chest rising and falling with slow, involuntary breaths, but internally he was a tempest. He could hear every word, the betrayal wrapping around him like chains. "Without the family to pull the strings, you're just a shell," Victor continued, unaware of the fierce thoughts brewing beneath Malcolm's tranquil exterior. Julia's anxious voice followed. "We have to act quickly. Once he wakes up, he'll ruin everything." Her tone dripped with urgency, betraying her own selfish motives hidden beneath a mask of concern. Beneath that mask, Malcolm felt the heat of humiliation. The people he trusted, his own blood, plotting his downfall as if he were an obstacle rather than their brother. The bitterness of their betrayal burned deep, evident in every heartbeat. In came Nurse Maya, the only glimmer of humanity amidst the cold clinic walls. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her eyes softening with empathy. "They're taking advantage. You shouldn't be sedated like this. It's wrong." Malcolm's heart raced. Maya's genuine distress highlighted the stark power imbalance. She was a mere nurse, her voice unheard while Victor and Julia wielded control like weapons. "They won't get away with this," he thought, the weight of their betrayal fueling a fire within him. His body might be trapped, but his mind was sharp, poised for the eventual reckoning. Even in silence, he felt strength in knowing he was still in control of his fate. Malcolm lay still, the rhythmic beeping of monitors a constant reminder of his feigned vulnerability. Each whispered conversation from the living shadows around him chipped away at his composure. Julia's voice floated over him, drenched in feigned concern but laced with something colder: ambition. Victor's laugh echoed, a sound he once considered brotherly, now tainted with malice. They spoke of names and numbers, of control over Reynolds Tech, and the darker dealings slithering beneath the surface of his supposed accident. Nurse Maya entered, a bright spot against the sterile drabness. Her hands were steady, practiced, but her voice trembled as she leaned closer. "They're keeping you sedated intentionally," she confessed, her eyes darting to the door, "long enough to make decisions without you." An icy grip settled in Malcolm's chest. The anger he'd kept bottled began to seep through the cracks. Days turned into weeks as he played the role of the helpless, his body a prison. But his mind was alive, calculating, plotting. They thought they had him cornered, but he would not be their pawn. The frustration coiled tighter with every conversation he overheard, every drop of poison he silently endured. Then, one fateful afternoon, as sunlight streamed in, Maya returned, this time with urgency in her voice. "We found the recordings. It's worse than I thought." Her words ignited something within him, a flicker of resolve amidst the suffocating mist of despair. "It's time you heard the truth." Malcolm's heart thudded, the still air crackling with unspoken intensity. He shifted ever so slightly, determination flooding his veins. Enough was enough. Malcolm lay still, breath steady beneath the persistent beeping of the monitors. Each whisper of quiet intent from the doorway fueled the fire awakening within him. When Nurse Maya entered, her eyes sparkled with a mix of concern and determination. "I know you can hear me." The first victory was simply gaining the strength to communicate with her. The sheer will to respond with a finger twitch and a calibrated blink, signaling that he was still very much alive. Days turned into weeks as their coded dialogues deepened, each small win amplifying his resolve. "I've got things I need to show you," she whispered one afternoon, slipping him clandestine recordings of Victor's plots. Malcolm felt the fire stoke within him. Every piece of evidence was a stepping stone toward his comeback. "Soon," he said through clenched teeth, a whisper barely escaping, yet infused with unwavering confidence. With every minute that passed, every secret he unearthed, his strategy solidified. The silent patient would soon become the assertive master, ready to reclaim what was rightfully his. Each minor triumph in the sterile suite was a signal. It was time to rise again. The boardroom buzzes with anxious energy, a cacophony of uncertainty. Victor, dressed impeccably, stands at the head of the table, his demeanor one of practiced calm, but the twitch in his eye reveals the tension beneath. The door swings open with a quiet resolve, and there stands Malcolm Reynolds, alive and alert, a shadow of triumph crossing his features as he takes in the shocked faces around him. "Malcolm?" Julia gasps, her voice a mixture of disbelief and dread. Victor's confident facade crumbles. His mouth opens, words failing him. As Malcolm strides forward, the heavy silence is pierced only by the slow heartbeat of disbelief. He gestures towards Dr. Chun, who stands at the entrance with a tablet, displaying video evidence of Victor's conspiracy. "Your plans have been recorded, Victor. Every deceit, every betrayal laid bare." The room stiffens. Eyes dart from Malcolm to the glaring screen, showing snippets of conversations that once flowed behind closed doors. Victor's open plans to seize control of Reynolds' tech, and Julia's murmurs of compliance. With every piece of evidence revealed, Malcolm's silent strength contrasts sharply against Victor's unraveling composure. Malcolm leans against the table, authoritative yet calm. "You thought I wouldn't see you," he remarks, a knowing smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. "The difference between us, brother, is I stand for transparency and ethics. You hide in shadows." Victor's bravado falters as the weight of the evidence mounts. He stumbles over his excuses, floundering in a sea of panic, while Malcolm stands grounded, radiating a quiet confidence. Julia shifts in her seat, her facade crumbling as she realizes her position is untenable, guilt etched across her features. Satisfied, Malcolm raises a hand to silence the murmurs. "This is not just about my recovery, it's about accountability. I am launching the Reynolds-Ellis Foundation for Ethics." Gasps ripple through the room, and for a fleeting moment, Malcolm savors the silence, the unmistakable scent of vindication hanging heavily in the air. He looks from face to face, absorbing the shift, feeling justified in his pain, but lifted by his purpose. Wolfgang and Julia led away in disgrace. Malcolm walks out amidst murmurs of astonishment, his heart steady. Alone in his triumph, he faces the future, poised to reshape his legacy not just for himself, but for those who dare to seek justice in silence. As I sit here in the quiet of my thoughts, I realize the journey that led me to this moment wasn't just about survival. It was a crucible of transformation. After enduring betrayal at the hands of those I trusted most, I've emerged with a profound understanding of both power and vulnerability. The sterile environment of that clinic, filled with beeping monitors and hushed whispers, taught me